How's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper. My goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether the price is going up or down. Ripple debunks 6 misconceptions about the XRP ruling. First, the decision is not split. The court was a resounding win for Ripple. The court ruled in favor of them. XRP is not a security in certain settings. That's point number 2. XRP itself is never a security. XRP, or a physical commodity, does not transform into a security when sold with additional promises. A share of a stock is always a security, but XRP is not. 4. The ruling does not prioritize sophisticated institutions over retail buyers. 5. Ripple can continue to do business. And 6. The court did not completely rule against a fair notice defense. They only ruled against it for the institutional sales, leaving the ruling on the fair notice defense for other types of transaction remaining open. So the main points is Ripple is not security. They can keep doing business. They're not in violation of anything. The fair notice was against for only the institutional sales, but other sales will have to see. They weren't ruled as being a security since it's a secondary market. Sam Bankman-Fried's lawyers say basis for revoking bail is extremely thin. In an 18-page letter to Judge Lewis A. Kaplan, Sam Bankman-Fried's defense counsel argued against the U.S. government's recent motion to revoke his bail. The defense called the arguments extremely thin and relying heavily on assumptions, unsupported inferences, and innuendo. On July 28th, the DOJ submitted its motion accusing Bankman-Fried of leaking documents to New York Times reporter who intended to tamper with a key witness, Caroline Ellison. But the defense says that on Tuesday, this is innuendo, not evidence, saying that the government had no proof that Bankman-Fried shared the documents, and the defense explained that Bankman-Fried shared documents with the reporter that were already known to the reporter. This counsel went on to accuse the government of sharing the documents and demanded that there should be a hearing on this issue. So we had a little back and forth like Spider-Man, no, it's you. The government also argued that Bankman-Fried used the encrypted message application Signal to communicate with other witnesses and used a VPN to hide his online activity. Went a little too far there. Gaming giant Bandai Namco launches AI virtual pet NFT game. So this, I don't really know how I feel about this, but Bandai is big, so this could be good for it. Major video game creator Bandai Namco has teamed up with Oasis, a gaming-centric blockchain network, to create an AI-powered virtual pet game around a series of NFT-based digital creatures known as Ryu. In advance of the release, 10,000 digital NFT eggs, or Maryu, were airdropped to holders of Oasis's first series of NFTs. Upon hatching, the Ryu will then transform into a soulbound token, a type of token that is locked into its original wallet and cannot be transferred or sold, so I don't really know how I feel about that. Similar to approaching the classic Tamagotchi virtual pet game, the Ryu will develop a personality and unlock different abilities based on user engagement. It can be fed and raced as well. The creatures also learn new capabilities thanks to the AI integration. Players will also be able to create further generations of Maryu within the applications. As it stands, the nurturing phase of the game experience is scheduled to end in a year's time, but the creatures will remain active beyond that. Kenya suspends Worldcoin operations amid privacy concerns, so another country worried about Worldcoin, rightfully so. This decision, as per the ministry, is a precautionary measure to ensure public safety. The suspension will persist until relevant agencies can assess and certify the project as risk-free. So, a lot of countries want to make sure that this is risk-free and that they are storing their data properly, as they need to register with countries to store the data they want to store. So, over on our charts, we forgot to flip over, so here we go. Dropped to the bottom of our channel, tried to break out to the top, so we're all over the place, but overall we have a big sell-off. RSI is falling, stochastic is coming down. Our money flow is in the bearish territory, heading down, so we are breaking in the bearish territory. If this does continue, we could break away from this pattern and possibly retest this zone back here, so keep that in mind as well. Stochastic is heading down, our VWAP is coming down, our momentum's coming down. So if we're going to see this pattern break out, we're going to want this pattern to maintain. If we break down from it, didn't mean to grab that. If we broke down from it, then that could mean we would see some further downside, and then our altcoins would get some more sell-off. Over on Bitcoin dominance, we have a slight sell-off here, not very strong. Stochastic's starting to bend, RSI is starting to come down, money flow is starting to get kind of a bend on it, so watch out if it starts to come out. Our VWAP is starting to bend as well, and our momentum is getting that bend as well, so all these signals are kind of taking a breather. If we do hit the bottom of this support zone in our flag and break through it, we could see further breakdown. However, if we hit the bottom and then bounce up, we could break above and invalidate it. Over on our Bitcoin futures, still not really going anywhere. We are kind of rounding off. Might be more of a symmetrical triangle. Kind of sloppy to make a pattern on the daily right now, how it looks. RSI is kind of flat. Stochastic wants to go up. Our VWAP is kind of going flat. Not very strong in the bullish territory. Our money flow is trying to break through the neutral, so if our money flow and VWAP can manage to get some strength on the next candle, or this candle, then we could see a further push up. However, if we start to see some sell-off, we could just reject away, as we did try to get into this pattern, and then sellers ultimately won and brought us back down. Our momentum is pretty flat, as our VWAP's pretty flat, so just keep an eye on that. Over on Bitcoin, real quick, if you haven't already, like the video, subscribe to our channel, leave a comment as well. Click the links down below for our Discord and our Reaper Apparel co-merch. You'll get 10% off. Really good t-shirts and stuff on there. They have a really good program for open-mindedness and other things, so you should really check them out. But RSI is starting to drop. Stochastic is starting to fall. Money flow is going kind of flat. Our VWAP is trying to head up. Momentum's trying to come up. We do have a bearish engulfing candle currently, so we tried to break into our pattern, but ultimately we rejected away. We are bouncing off the top of our golden pocket, but if we don't get a push on the next candle, we could get sucked back into this golden pocket and see this breakdown of our pattern from our rising channel that we have been in. So you'll get like 3 highs. We could just have like a slanted inverse head and shoulders too, where the shoulder, head, shoulder, and then we come down, break down, and probably, yeah, that get you about the same breakdown as our channel that we had. So that could bring us to around that 20K level and fill that gap on the futures. So over on the 4 hour here, we are getting a manipulation X that does want to bring us down. We are kind of curling off. So there's that rejection. You can see an inverted hammer candle that brought us down. It just kicked us down. Stochastic is falling. RSI is kind of falling, going a little flat. So if it can maintain right around here, it could maintain some bullish strength, and we could see a bit of a pickup. So keep an eye for that. Our momentum is getting bearish divergence though, so that does want to bring us down. It did kind of give us one bearish candle, and we have that manipulation X, so that could bring us even lower. Money flow has broken into the bearish territory, and our VWAP is heading down. It is going somewhat flat though, so if it does start to round up, we could get a push up here. Over on the 2 hour, our stochastic is getting a little bit of a curl to it, so it does want to get a little bit of a bounce, but overall we have broken in the bearish territory. Our RSI is kind of flat. Money flow is rejecting away in the bearish territory. Did attempt to make a cross to the bullish territory, but it got rejected right around the same time it rejected that pattern. Our momentum is starting to get a curl as our VWAP was coming up, but our VWAP starting to taper off, so that could start to curl away and push lower. If that does happen, this momentum would straighten out and come back down, kind of like it did back here. So all that could bring us down if this does continue. The money flow on the 1 hour is also bearish, so we have that 1 hour bearish money flow, the 2 hour bearish money flow, and the 4 hour bearish money flow. So we're across all 3 time frames. So that's likely going to bring the daily if it holds down. But on the 1 hour, RSI is starting to curl off, stochastic's running up, our VWAP is starting to kind of get a little bit of a curl. It is in the bullish territory, but it does want to give a bit of a push. Our money flow did try to make an uptrend and break through some resistance, but ultimately got rejected and is starting to make a new bottom here. So if that does happen, we could see further downside. Our momentum does want to come up as our VWAP was going up pretty decently, but with the money flow coming out, we could see that turn tail. Over on graph, we are getting a little bit of a rejection. We wanted to break out of this pattern, so we may be invalidating it, especially with the way our total is looking right now, where it could invalidate that up channel. When you have a bear market, you'll get bullish patterns and you'll invalidate them with a bearish move. Likewise, in a bull market, you'll get bearish patterns and you'll invalidate them with a bullish move. So we could still have a little bit of a bear market left with us, as we're not quite yet to the half. But RSI is starting to point down, stochastic is starting to fall. Our VWAP is in the bullish territory, but very weak, so it could start to round off. Money flow is in the bearish territory, kind of flattening out, meeting resistance. If it manages to scoop up, we could possibly break through that neutral. However, if it falls flat here, we could meet more downside and invalidate this pattern, as I said. Our momentum does want to come up, but our VWAP's very weak, so if that VWAP doesn't pick up, that momentum's likely going to just ride this area for a while. Over on the 4-hour, we do have a manipulation X that wants to bring us down, so we tried to get that breakout and we got rejected. So now we are seeing manipulation that wants to bring us down. Stochastic is starting to head down, RSI is starting to come out, VWAP has broken in the bearish territory with our momentum, and our momentum has a red dot. Our money flow is breaking, those three are pretty much breaking all together right around the same point. So if they do drop further, we could see further rejection and, like I said, invalidate the pattern. Over on the 2-hour, we have kind of a slanted double top, so we could be kind of falling from that. Stochastic does want to kind of curl, RSI is overall pushing down. Our money flow is rejecting away from a bullish cross, so that is starting to push down on us and we could see further downside. Momentum is coming down, but our VWAP is trying to push up, so if our VWAP manages to go through the neutral, it could give us a little bit of a push up and we could attempt another breakout. Over on the 1-hour, RSI is starting to curl off, our stochastic is starting to get tight and lose strength, so it could start to fall away. Our money flow is rejecting away from that neutral and starting to make some new local bottoms. Our VWAP is in the bullish territory but starting to head away, so this green dot could get invalidated. Over on Anchor for the daily, we are getting toward the bottom of our pattern, so we could see our breakdown with it. We are getting a manipulation X, so that wants to bring us down as well, so those two things could have us break down. Watch out if we do get hung up on the point control though, or the value area low of this macro channel, as that could meet some resistance and we could struggle or get bounce off that and only get a little bit of the breakout. So keep that in mind as well. But our stochastic is falling, RSI is falling, momentum is coming out, VWAP's losing strength, money flow is rejecting, getting close to that neutral, so it could end up breaking into the bearish territory if it does go lower. We are kind of testing a support zone. Over on the 4-hour, stochastic is heading down, RSI is heading down, our money flow is in the bearish territory and rejected, being bullish. It tried to maintain some bullish momentum for some time, but ultimately got suppressed. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory heading down, but it does want to come back up. So if that VWAP does go back up, it could help give us a little bit of a bounce here, and we could see a little bit more bullish action. However, we have had 3 touches to the top, so it is highly likely that we could break out from here. But just like we invalidated Graph's pattern, we could invalidate this pattern. Our momentum is starting to kind of curl and does want to go up as our VWAP is trying to recover, so we do have that going bullishly for us somewhat. Over on the 2-hour, our stochastic wants to make a bullish cross and head up, but our money flow has broken in the bearish territory, so we have bearish money flow here. Our RSI is overall heading down. Our VWAP is trying to break through that neutral, and we do have a bullish divergence on our momentum. So with those two things, we could see that money flow pick back up and cross back into the bullish territory. This could be a temporary drop. If that does happen, we could invalidate the pattern, see some pickup, However, if this VWAP flops over and this divergence gets invalidated, which does happen in bearish environments, then we could see that break down. So keep an eye on the money flow and kind of the VWAP, as the VWAP is trying to push counter to the money flow. Over on the 1 hour, if we stretch this out, we do have a gap up, so we do have around 25. I think that we keep having gaps around this zone, so we do have a few gaps up. It is possible if we break down through this pattern, we could fill these gaps later. Stochastic is starting to head down, RSI is starting to head down, money flow is starting to reject away, our VWAP is starting to reject away, so they are in the bullish territory, but if they break bearish and hold, then we could see further downside and see the pattern play. Our momentum is trying to come up, but it's starting to curl away as our VWAP's losing strength. Over on XRP for the daily, we are getting a little bit of a push down still from all the bearish news and everyone being pretty disappointed, selling off because we're not at $1. Don't know if you know, but if you create sell pressure, you're not going to see an increase in price because there's supply and demand. But anyway, RSI is starting to fall. Stochastic is overall in the bearish territory. Money flow is pretty beat up. It is getting close to that neutral, wants to kind of fall through. If it does fall through, then we could get a bearish swing down, retest these support zones that we just blasted past. This is still somewhat of a descending triangle. It's just kind of stretching really far out. That's why I'm not going to try and draw it like the last one. Our momentum is pushing down. Our VWAP is rejecting away from the neutral. So if our VWAP and momentum don't kind of turn with the money flow, then we could see further downside. Over on the 4 hour, nothing really special, no gaps or anything. Our stochastic is overall falling, RSI is falling. We are kind of getting a bit of a curl here. If you kind of zoom out, you can see a bit of a curl. So watch out for that. Our momentum is starting to head down. Money flow is rejecting away from that neutral. We are kind of meeting support resistance. So if we don't break down from here, we could see a bounce that would help give us a little bit of a push up. Our VWAP is trying to head up, so if that VWAP does manage to break through that bullish territory, that could help that money flow kind of turn away. Over on the 2 hour, we do have a manipulation X after getting a reversal arrow, so that reversal was signaling that we wanted to take a drop after running up, and that manipulation was signaling the same. RSI is starting to curl, stochastic is trying to get a bullish cross, but kind of starting to curl away. So looks a little weak, just keep an eye on it. Our money flow is rejecting away from that neutral, kind of setting in newer lows and lower highs and lower lows. So that is a bit of a downtrend. If we do keep downtrending, we could start to see a deceleration and more sell-off. Our momentum does have a bullish divergence that wants to push us up. If our VWAP manages to keep bullish momentum, that could play out. However, the VWAP looks a little iffy here, like it could roll over and fall back under. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic is kind of starting to curl, getting a bearish cross, so that could bring us down. Oops, watch out for that. Our VWAP is starting to curl, money flow is starting to reject away from the neutral, so we do have bearish money flow on the 1 hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, almost the daily. So again, watch out for that. Our momentum is trying to come up, but is curling away with that VWAP losing strength, so keep an eye on that as well. For algo, last but not least, on the daily we are kind of dropping, meeting our bottom that we had, so we are kind of dropping back into our pattern. Maybe we draw a little straighter like that. So we could see this wedge play out later if we don't meet some bullish momentum. And the way the total is looking, we may not get that bullish momentum. RSI is starting to head down, stochastic is starting to head down, wants to make a bearish cross. VWAP is pushing away from that neutral, money flow is rejecting away as well, and our momentum is coming away as well. Over on the 4 hour, we have a manipulation X that's bringing us away. So we could end up breaking out later, probably way later. That would probably be like a breakout somewhere around here that would push us to Fibonacci or something. Stochastic is starting to push down, RSI is starting to push down. Our money flow is kind of going flat in the bearish territory, so that is a little hope as if that rounds back up, we could get a push up. Our VWAP is trying to head up and our momentum is trying to curl up, so we are at a decent support zone, but we do have a little bit more that we could end up dropping, so keep that in mind as well. Over on the 2 hour, zoom. We do have a little bit of a gap here that we could end up filling later. Stochastic is starting to point down. Our RSI is starting to point down too. Money flow is rejecting away from that neutral, kind of. It's kind of a bearish cross, but it's not very convincing right now. If it does manage to turn around, we could see a push up. Our VWAP is trying to break through the neutral, but it's not very strong right now, so both ends are kind of falling flat of any kind of action either way. Our momentum does want to come up, but if our VWAP falls flat, that will as well. Over on the 1 hour, our stochastic's about to make a bearish cross, so that could give us a bit of a sell-off as our RSI is weakening as well, and our VWAP wants to break through that neutral. So if the VWAP breaks through the neutral, we could get a bit of a push on our momentum to get more sell-off. Our money flow is making somewhat lower lows, trying to push down, so overall we are trying to push lower. If we do push lower, we could meet that support zone around those other candles. But if we don't manage to push back above through those zones, we could see further downside and we could see lower prices yet and make new lower lows. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a wonderful night.